Okay, I did it. We're on the internet.
Howdy, folks. We're on the internet.
We're on the internet live, not in person, but live.
Yeah, it's as legally in person as you can get.
I mean,
We're coming
there
at you.
is that. It's pretty locked down right now around here.
Yeah. Episode, what are we, 91?
91. Yep.
Wow. Okay. So 91, we have no theme tonight. We're just going to enjoy some whiskey. I believe Brad is going to try and eliminate some bottles, or at least...
I'm going to try or at least get pretty close. I'm starting with some Compass Box Oak Cross.
Which
It'd be
has
interesting
the,
to get the bottles to show with this silly green screen that I'm doing.
Yeah, didn't know about Compass Box Oak Cross. It has the ability to phase in and out of reality.
Sure.
So that bottle...
Compass Box and their bottle designs, they're always trying to one-up themselves. They've developed some interesting phase technology, I guess, for the Oak Cross label. I don't know how it works, but it looks cool.
It ain't just art when they're attempting to create interdimensional bottles, but yeah.
Sure. It wouldn't surprise me if they tried to get a license to use Vanta Black or something on one of their bottles. So it's just like a shapeless black void that you can't see the edges of. You're like, what the?
I would not be surprised. Is that super the most black?
Yeah, it's so black that you can't even tell the shape of something if it's all the same.
That should be called None More Black.
So it's just like a bottle-shaped black blob, basically, that you can't get any definition from at all.
Awesome. That's neat.
That would be interesting to see in a whiskey bottle.
Yeah.
And of course, then you'd want to scrape a little line so you could see how much is left, right? So then you want just blackness and then just a little strip.
The old Octomore trick.
Yeah. Look who showed up. Hey.
Hey.
And hey, cheers right back at you, Graham. Ian, Dave, what's up? Yeah, it's a nice one we got going tonight. I've got some Michter's straight rye in me glass right now.
It's a tasty one.
It is a tasty one.
That's good shit.
It's very good value because it's not super duper crazy, or at least it wasn't up here. It was around the $74 mark, and for me, worth it. That's around the upper kind of reaches that I'd like to spend, because we have a lot of stuff for the $65 area that's actually really good at the LCBO. Shockingly, that Jack Daniel's single barrel rye is really tasty, and I really enjoy that. And that's about $65 here, so can't really complain. And I rarely go for a bourbon or a rye or a Canadian first these days, so I'm changing it up, going for a rye.
Why not? Yeah.
I must admit, I have a bottle of that rye courtesy of Mr. Whittington, and it is phenomenal. It cemented me as a rye guy very quickly.
It's name drops all over the place, starting so soon.
Yeah, low key hardcore flex.
Low key high key. To just send sometimes, whatever. That's fine.
It is in my top 5 ryes for sure. Might even be in my top 3, and considering I've had a shitload of rye, that's pretty good. It's got the dill note, that dilliness that I really like in a rye, but it backs away real fast to some other flavors, and you get those nice barrel notes in there, and almost a touch of cream near the end, and then the spice kind of picks back up, and it is an absolute fantastic rye. I have nothing bad to say about it at all.
It is.
Yeah, man, listen, you got to come and check out every stream just in case.
Just in case Jeremy shows up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Scotty, what's up, pal? He knows how to score points.
Does. I'm not sure who he would be talking about, but he knows how to try to score points.
The Michter's straight rye, which is absolutely gorgeous, in my opinion.
Yeah.
From the limited exposure I have had of rye.
Actually, if I'm going to be totally honest, I've never had a Michter's product that I didn't enjoy. A couple of them are, I think, a little overhyped, but still great. But yeah, like all the generic bottlings that are like fairly available, none of the barrel strength stuff. The barrel strength stuff's fantastic. Incidentally, the barrel strength straight rye, Jeremy, me and Brad had at the Spirit of Toronto, and it is the dilliest rye I've ever had in my life.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it personally, but that's me.
If you
because I
don't like
dill,
yeah, if you're not into the dill note, that's probably one of the worst ryes you'll ever have. I really, really liked it, but the not barrel strength, the regular here, it's at 42.4%. Is really nice and a lot gentler on that.
Yeah, 42.4. So I got the single barrel straight rye.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, it's delicious, absolutely delicious. As a phenomenal rye to have, and I've kind of been like semi babying it because the availability is really kind of hit and miss. It's not like a super rare thing that people go nuts for, but it's not always available at the LCBO. And when it is, sometimes, like when it does come back, you never know if it's going to be $15 more than before. So I've been kind of babying it, but
I don't think I've ever seen the rye, at least on the shelf here. Definitely other Michter's products, but it's not exactly a massive selection.
Yeah. The rye is out of the the core bottlings. The rye is definitely the harder one to get. So, nice, Peter. Nice win, pal. I'm gonna raise this one to you, buddy. That's a nice one.
That's a tasty one for sure.
How did your boys' lotto go?
Same as the usual. Nothing.
0. Oh, that's not true. So speaking of Michter's, I won through a friend of mine's account. Actually, I had a bunch of friends and family apply because everyone else does. I figure why not? Like I've got to at least, if I'm gonna complain about not winning, I might as well really have justification.
Not win with intent.
Yeah. So I got the allocated a 10-year Michter's rye.
Ooh.
It's $233. It's just not worth it for me. I would never spend $233 on a rye. That's just who I am. Again, like for about $100 tops, maybe 150, you can get some phenomenal ryes. But like I said earlier, for under 80, I can get some really tasty ryes that I like. And the trade value isn't there. I'll be the first person to admit that if there's a lot of bourbons on that list that had I won, I would have traded for Scotch.
So
okay?
here's the question, Dan.
Yep.
And I'm going to ask this question, and then I'm going to put the person on the spot. Is it?
Oh, people are hitting buttons. Jeremy's going to have to get his account revoked again. I don't know. People. Why do I allow people to hit buttons?
Because it makes less work for you long term.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's why.
Yeah, the baby Saz, they call it, just that regular Sazerac rye is actually really nice. It is a nice, great tasting rye. And I'd have to agree too. Again, like $230 is. I get that it's 10 years old. I get that that's old for rye and bourbon. But it just a little too much. So I don't think I'm going to go for that one. The demand also isn't through the roof. It's not a super duper crazy sought after bottle, at least up here. So again, it's not like it would be worth my while to acquire the bottle and trade it for something. So
see, the only thing I could think of that may possibly be of a benefit to having a rye that old would be that 7 years for the lignans and whatnot in the wood to start breaking down and releasing those vanilla notes a little bit more.
Right. Depending on where.
Yeah.
But yeah. There certainly is. It's tasty. Sorry. I haven't had the 10-year rye.
Yeah.
I've had the 10-year bourbon, and it's delicious. It is a great product. I like it better than their pardon me, got the hiccups, than their standard bourbon. However, I just can't justify paying that much for again, for something that's not so crazy. If one of the Pappies, I would hop on one of those, no problem, and then I would trade it for a ton of beautiful Scotch that I would otherwise not be able to acquire or afford.
So what I'm hearing is you would get the Pappy and then swap it for decent liquid.
Yes, that's actually the only thing you should do with Pappy.
Seems right. Well, welcome, Void.
Hi.
Have you realized your rectangle?
Yeah, I've had, courtesy of Brad, I've had right up to the top of Pappy 23. It was very tasty. It was great bourbon. I enjoyed it, but certainly nowhere near what the hype is worth. And even on the, I believe it's about $450-$500 to get it retail. Still too much for me. For the trade value, certainly, because you could get a lot of phenomenal Scotch traded for the Pappy. But yeah, I just can't, like, it's hard to justify for me. It's really hard to justify. And again, this is someone, for all you folks at home that are like, oh, this guy doesn't know bourbon or whatever. My first 4 solid years of whiskey were 100% bourbon.
You heard it here. Dan hates bourbon and always has.
But it's really, really hard to argue that Scotch just doesn't have that much more appeal to myself. I still enjoy bourbon. I enjoy rye. I love all whiskey, but so there's an attraction there to Scotch that's hard to get away from for me.
Because it's good.
It is. It's great.
I mean,
Scotty's pouring some of that North Star Campbelltown. I believe it's a 5-year-old exclusive sherry matured. And yeah, I haven't had any yet. But my next pour is going to be the old Campbelltown, the 4-year. And yes, it's obviously a Springbank. North Star Spirits are one of my favorite independent. Oh, that's awesome.
The production value goes way up whenever Jeremy is here.
It does. We got way. It's unbelievable.
He actually cares to like play with all the buttons and fun gadgets that streaming gives us.
I put a new background in as well.
I did notice that. Yeah.
Hey, come on.
Is the cat.
I mean, Void Cat is great too.
That's an awesome trade, Peter. I've heard the Family Reserve Rye is fantastic, and definitely that's a rare one for sure. So nice trade on that. I'm gonna go ahead and say that 90% of folks that get bottles in the allocation will be trading or selling them. Certainly, there is a lot that are going to be keeping it to enjoy. But trading is for me is just the way to go.
To enjoy.
And I could be incorrect, but one of the things that I do actually really love about Dan is when he says trading, more often than not, it's all of those sample bottles so that it's not a singular person going out, like a singular bottle going to one person in the hope that they will share it. It is literally spreading the joy and having the joy returned in kind.
Yeah, well, that's the whole shebang. It's the Brad, Dave.
Fill it up with a suitcase of sample bottles. Like, who wants some of whatever this was? Yeah.
It's the name of the game, right? That's why our whiskey generation. It's not even a generation. Our whiskey movement, if you will.
Click.
It's this click, but it's also. I think it's also endemic of this boom. Dan's little snap and head bob got me.
Oh.
I need to mute. I'm sorry.
Wow. Harsh.
Oh no, he muted himself. It's all good. Oh well,
you
know, if the void identifies as a him.
Peter, you know what would be really awesome is to follow that trade all the way from wherever it starts up to the finishing.
All right, do like that guy did with, what was it, a paperclip that he started with, and he just traded up like on Craigslist and all the different things, like trade until he got a house.
Oh man! Okay.
I pulled out the banjo. Okay.
What you can't tell is that cat's actually singing Smelly Cat. It's just the void is muted at the moment.
Sure.
This is a calculated. This is science right now, folks, for you at home. Okay, so the Kilkerran 8 versus the North Star Spirits Campbelltown 5. It's got 60% the funk level.
Okay.
Okay.
Who's got the funk?
We got the funk.
60% of it, anyway.
I just need a little bit of what is it? Just need a bit of Project Binky. Bit of Project Binky music kicked in there as we make a bracket. Someone else will get that in the chat, I'm sure.
I didn't even hear what you said, so yeah.
Project Binky. If you've not seen it, it's well worth it watching an episode or 7.
I'm scared.
No. So the
The void
synopsis
is scared.
Don't worry about it. It's fine.
the synopsis is think classic Mini, as in the Mini Cooper,
Yeah.
that they're converting to a rally car using Celica GT4 parts.
Okay.
And they've managed to cram it all in there so far. That I think the next episode is paint. So it's taken a number of years to do this, but they are proper engineers and they go through it very fastidiously.
Wait, so they're proper engineers, so it's gonna
Yeah.
break. Okay.
Hey, what hair looks
fancy
awesome?
new hair.
What?
Very nice.
What's up, guys?
Sweet. It's been a long journey for the hair.
It has been a long journey for the hair.
Half expected you to be blonde tonight.
It was close. It was close. I almost came on blonde.
I think it looks awesome.
Which would have been interesting because it would have been 4 non-blondes and then you.
Yeah, because I'm definitely a brunette.
I'm switching to some Connemara, another very low
Oh.
bottle. I'm just trying to get.
Is that a ghost bottle?
It is a ghost bottle.
It's about to go to the voids trying to steal it from you.
Demons
Like
are your
my
eyes.
wishes.
Come to me. It didn't work. My
Right,
power
where
is
is it?
slipping.
Where is it? There it is. I'll change
yeah.
the background just for
Peter, I know what that's like, buddy, but I can't say because I have had I have had luck in the past. So in total, I've won 2 bottles. A Stag Junior last year or the year before, and then this year that Michter's 10. But that's 6 or 5 years, I guess, now running. I don't know. It's been a while. It sucks.
Yeah.
But it is what it is, right? I can't complain. A bottle was allocated to me. It's not one that I particularly wanted after doing some research, but hey.
Happens. So what are you drinking there, Christina?
I just, since I was running late, all I grabbed was our Big Time.
Always a good one.
Yeah, let's talk about the Ardbeg lottery. Scotty,
the blue hands.
Lance.
Little did
I
you
was-
know he's actually a Smurf.
I was just gonna bring this up, Scotty. Oogie and Corey and NO are now lottery items for us. So all of that stuff that you thought it was bad that we paid so much for Ardbeg, we can't even walk in and get it off the shelves. We can't buy Core Range Ardbeg off the shelf from the biggest purchaser of alcohol in the planet that does over 6 billion in sales. We can't walk in there and buy a Core Range Ardbeg.
Canada is now off the table for moving to.
Yeah.
Okay, so
That's
So
just
I-
Ontario. It's not all of Canada.
Yeah, but like,
I'm
Yeah,
just
no,
curious. I'm just curious with how the supply side of shit works, right? So down here, a lot of the shit that we can get is quite often influenced a little bit by, the Singapore market and stuff like that, because it's a through market, right? Is it that Canada doesn't get it direct, it's getting it from a supplier that's also supplying the US or something? Or like, why? It's not exactly like Ugadal is low on supply.
As I understand it, it's because the LCBO representatives that deal with Scotland specifically and a bunch of places are not necessarily on the friendliest of terms with many of those suppliers over there.
Okay, so they don't have direct, so they go through a tertiary or something.
Yeah, or they're just really annoyed people enough that even the direct supply is just not happening as much. I don't know.
Here, you get 5. Ha! Good.
Right.
Weird.
I'm sure this already got put up there, but I'm going to go ahead and throw it on up there.
It is indeed.
And yeah, it's pretty crazy, Peter.
I mean,
Again, fantastic. It's like the Johnny Walker Blue. I personally think it's a fantastic whiskey. It's just priced way too much. Like Corey, for me, isn't worth 200.
I will never buy another bottle of Corey again, frankly, because why? Like, it's fine. But, like, I will buy Ugadal. I will
I
buy...
was gonna say, it's got the proof, but it's not really bringing anything extra to the table.
Yeah,
other than
it's
Right.
yeah. Like I've had a bottle. I've had it many times outside of that bottle. Yeah, it's time. The collection blew up, obviously, and then now it's like, okay, what do we really need to have back? And that is just not really on the list.
Right.
Yeah, again,
Right.
when you have like they are they are obviously quite different whiskeys, but even even on the whole, even if like sherry might not be your thing or whatever, it's just like the Oogie is just so like it's just that much better. You know what I mean? Like again, Corey is great. I like it. I like the brininess. Like I really enjoy Corey, but Oogie is just it's stellar.
Agreed.
Aw,
apparently I can't get
Roy.
at the moment.
thank you, sir.
Roy,
Roy, thank you very much. Cheers.
wow.
Oh, here's Roy.
Always nice to see Roy.
God damn it! I need whiskey now. I have to drink to Roy on that one.
You do
God damn
need
it.
whiskey. Silly Boyd.
Christina, you got to make that audio because I don't know if he's going to be able to hear it if he's just got the phones in.
No, well, he did say he's going to plug the headphones in and listen till he drops the phone.
Yeah.
That is probably the best testament to the quality of this channel that we will ever have.
And if
We put Roy to sleep. That's the testament to its quality.
All right, so
Like we've just paid a whiskey celebrity.
hold on. Does this mean that I need to read poetry or bedtime stories?
I think
Yeah.
bedtime stories. We're putting Roy to bed, I think, is what's going on.
Oh, don't worry. Me reading anything will put anybody to sleep. It's fine.
I mean, just listening to the stream, I'm sure would put plenty of people to sleep.
I was going to say, isn't it like half midnight or 1:30 a.m. over there, roughly?
Oh God, yeah.
Oh,
Somewhere
yeah.
like
Something like that, yeah. It would be plenty late.
Yeah. That's
with,
hardcore.
With kids, there's going to be no sleeping on a Saturday morning. Like that's
Probably
going to be
not.
a rare treat. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I think I may move on.
I mean,
You can find that on our OnlyFans page, along
Right.
with many other great content.
Hashtag sploosh.
really should do something with that OnlyFans page at some point. I don't know what.
At some point.
I don't know what that could be.
I think we've just gotten it. We're just going to have
Maybe,
different
maybe we do. Maybe
ASMR.
we finally have the idea for the Cast Strength OnlyFans.
I could sit here and just do Aussie Bonza sounds in ASMR. Crikey, that's a big one. You bogan cunt. Move the Tirana, or I'll belch ya.
Does doing those stereotypes make you feel dirtier than actual pornography, Jeremy?
Whoa! I came back to some weirdness.
Am I getting paid either way?
You're getting paid the exact same amount either
wow.
way.
Wow.
I don't know what just happened, but I'm in.
Perfect.
Oh, so much sweet.
That counts as a verbal contract, right? We have this recorded.
Yeah.
It's binding.
That's it.
Perfect.
Nice.
Nice.
That's a good one.
Dave, if you have some of this Campbelltown still, and it's been open for a while, you should pop it open and have some, because it is like the sweetest, sugary, creamy nose on it, and all that Campbelltown funk underlying underneath it. Oh my gosh! Wow, this has totally changed since the last time I had a dram of this.
So I just had a small brainwave. It hurt a little bit.
Yeah, I felt
Wow.
that.
Yeah, hive mind. If someone has the talent, we just pop a number of corks, and then they can do Roy a going to sleep song of just go to sleep, but done with cork music.
Pop, pop, pop.
I mean, I could do that if I had time.
Cork Pop Lullaby.
The technology
Yeah.
exists.
Oh. Yeah,
Cork Pop Lullaby could become a big thing.
All right, fine,
Walk off the earth.
fine.
All right. We'll get some files to you through the week.
Just
Oh, that's so funky.
Oh, geez.
Yo, wow.
I'm feeling the funk for real.
oh
Good Lord. Thank you. Oh,
Jesus.
oh.
Oh my
Could be worse. I forgot. I've got the second most terrific image in here as well.
Really,
I feel attacked.
Who
by
was
that.
it? Who was it that asked if it was Harry Potter? I was dying over that, man. Someone posted that, and someone said something about Harry Potter or Daniel Radcliffe or something. I was dying.
That's fantastic.
Oh, this smells fantastic, and the funk is so strong. What an excellent little! It's 4 years old, at 57%. Really nice punchy from 2 refill bourbon hogsheads. Definitely a lot of sweet, sugary vanillins on the nose and a little bit on the tongue from those bourbon hogsheads. But the Campbelltown funk is the most prevalent note. I think it's definitely the youngest that I'm aware of.
I swear, I'm gonna have to get a little 10-second, a 2-second video clip. You know, we've got the funk. So just so I could just whack that up every time you say funk.
I mean, I can hook up my bass and record a nice wah.
Oh
thing.
yeah, that.
Oh, yeah.
I want you to be wearing platform boots.
Whoa, time out.
getting very specific.
No, that's
Hey,
the OnlyFans
Jay.
page, dude.
The OnlyFans. If you have
OnlyFans
specific
page.
request, that seems like an OnlyFans sort of situation.
Yeah.
That's all he wants you wearing. Just the platform boots and the guitar.
James
Wow.
became quite the Canadian celebrity in every single article regarding that $85,000 Bowmore. You were in every single picture I noticed. So you kind of became like one of the most viewed pictures in the country, probably like top 10 for sure for a while there. So how's your new celebrity treating you? I know most of the pictures on a lot of the articles were just like your hand and, part of you, but
So does that mean
nonetheless,
on his business card he can now put hand model?
Seems accurate.
yeah, that was kind of neat. And also, James, were you aware that they obviously it was a promotional shoot, but were you aware that it was going to be on that level? Because it was like National Post. I'm getting like every news outlet every online media outlet that I subscribed to or saw was had that article going on it, and sure enough, you're in everyone. Oh, celebrities get to drive the Aston. Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say,
no. Celebrities don't get to drive the Aston. Celebrities get to sit in the Aston while it's towed on a rig.
Hold that beautiful bottle of. How nervous were you holding that bottle? Incidentally, just out of curiosity,
Had to be a stunt whiskey bottle.
I was going to ask, was it filled with another item, like iced tea or dye or whatever? Because
yeah, they manufactured a bottle using the DB5 piston just for the stunt whiskey for the photo shoot.
Yep, 100%.
Oh, I don't know. There's some things they absolutely would never compromise something like that, and in most areas they absolutely do. And there's a stunt everything, but you never know, right? Like Jeremy said, it might be a little costly to make the stunt whiskey. Real bottle filled with with Bowmore 12. Okay, cool,
All right,
neat.
Yeah,
So,
there we go. Actual done. Yeah.
Oh, come on, chat, work.
yeah, that's pretty awesome. Really, really neat. And I am going to try and have James on a show sometime really soon to kind of talk about that, because that's just a really neat marketing thing that Bowmore did there.
I mean, if you've got a spare bottle, James, I'm not adverse to actually just having an extra video feed of the bottle during the
It'd be like that light that's been on for that light bulb that's been burning for like 100-something years in that firehouse. Just they have a camera on it all the time.
Right.
Do that. Yeah.
And they've got what's the other one they do? The pitch drop. There's a camera on the pitch drop thing as well.
Yes.
Woo.
No, because I'll never be able to get my hands on it.
Oh, this is a special release?
Yeah, that's the Mickey Heads leaving finished in rye casks. Or not finished, aged in rye casks.
Huh.
Right.
That could be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
If we can get our hands on it.
I thought it was supposed to be February 1st through the committee, but apparently it's not. It's earlier.
Oh, that's the 2021 committee?
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
They probably pushed it forward because you don't have to organize events at the moment.
right.
Yeah, there is it seems that there is a discrimination going on there, Jim.
Sheesh.
Yeah, but it is what it is. You can't win them all. This is really spectacular. Anybody in the States, because it's been a while since I've done my super preachy praising of North Star Spirits. Has anybody in the States seen any North Star Spirits?
Nope.
Crazy.
That is crazy. That's a shame.
Yeah, they're unbelievable. They're very, pardon me, very, very interesting.
I mean, in fairness, I haven't been inside of a liquor store in a year, so there's that.
Is that?
I've just never seen it. Like, I've never seen them post it. Now, again, I don't spend a ton of time on the tribe, and when I do, it's because one of my friends posts, and it notifies me, so I go and check it out.
You stalker.
But the lack of North Star, I've seen like maybe one or two, is shocking. And they bottle a bourbon that I think you guys would probably like because it is matured in Ardbeg casks. Yes. Peter.
It's still bourbon, though.
It is. I'm not gonna. But don't lie to me. You look at that moment of silence before you said it's still bourbon, though.
No, I was thinking how to tactfully attack that, and I decided not to tactfully attack it and just say, "But it's bourbon."
Actually, I'm gonna pull him up on that because there's the hive mind. I was literally thinking about making a bed or a chair out of an Ardbeg barrel instead, which means he was also thinking that.
It's a thing.
It is a thing.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, unless it has some of that really rye spice, black pepper, dill, like super, super notes, which again, I don't know too much of the sciences of what's in the barrel after the whiskey is gone. My knowledge is still just geared towards what happens, before and what it does to the whiskey that's put in there. But rye doesn't seem like an ideal. I think it's because I'm biased, because in Canada all our casks are rye reused, like the world's most tired whiskey casks are used for that generic, Crown and all of that jazz.
Oh my god, I just realized that's what it is with Canadian whiskey. It's tired.
Oh,
a,
dude.
a lot of it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's why Crown Royal is like, sure, it doesn't taste like
Is that why it
it
comes in its own little sleeping bag?
Yeah.
It's tired. You got to put it in a little sleeping bag.
You put it in Snuggie and go to sleep.
Yeah.
It's rest, man. Those casks need their rest, but they are really, really, really super duper tired casks, like so fucking overused to the point where they probably stop using them when they leak or fall apart. I don't think they actually do. I really don't. But it's just that really generic sweet nature of such little cask influence. That's why when Crown Royal releases something that has a different cask or like a first fill or something, it's actually not horrible. It's interesting. It's like, oh, this is what happens when you're not using casks from 1927 over and over and over again in like 3-year spurts, just literally. You know what I mean? There's just no influence
with the because let's face it, as far as whiskey creating countries go, they have probably the best access to the most secondhand casks possible. So why the hell aren't they using more? Like, is it that they are like trying to keep it at such a price point? Are they just frugal?
It's just, I think for the main, yes. Straight up, Graham, and yeah, Jeremy, it's that they don't care, right? Like, it's like the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's a sport team we have up here that always does horrible. It's nothing great, but they make more and more money every year. So why change anything? Like, the Crown Royal doesn't ever need to change anything. I'm confident that they could have slightly less quality whiskey next year or whenever, next month, and they would still sell millions and millions all around the world. It's that brand recognition. It's certainly not. I don't know anybody that drink Crown Royal. I know a ton of people that drink Crown Royal. Tons, hundreds, dozens of hundreds. That's
dozens of hundreds.
But they don't drink it straight.
So,
and
really, what happened?
If they changed it and they put it into that Ryan Ginger, they're still not gonna really be like, "Oh man, they changed it. This Crown Royal's different."
So what happened is they got locked into a flavor profile, mainly because they were on the cheap, and they ended up using the really tired cast. And everybody's like, "Yeah, this is good." And that poor master distiller was like, "Shit."
I was actually thinking it might have gone back further, because traditionally you have a craft beer boom, a brown liquor boom, then you have a clear spirit boom, right? And Crown kind of hugs in between those two booms. Like, it would get the initial traction of the whiskey boom, but it holds on a lot longer because it doesn't have that oaky, woody influence. And I wonder if they just sort of tweaked it that little bit to sort of ride the tail of the boom one of the times that the boom happened, and then locked into that flavor profile, because in the bad times it made more money than in the good times having a good product. Not that Crown is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes with a dice bag. It's fine by my book.
Right. The value is in the extras,
Yeah.
It's the accoutrement.
Yeah, Graham, and I agree wholeheartedly with everything you're saying about the casks, and certainly the Canadian corn spirit. And I couldn't agree more with corn taking to new wood. Again, as someone who started my entire journey out strictly on bourbon for a while, I absolutely understand and agree with that. It's also the only spirit that I've aged myself in a barrel was a corn spirit. So I totally agree with you. And we have so much great stuff up here. And I know we say this almost every time I talk about Canadian whiskey, but they put that much more love. Maybe didn't water everything down to bare minimum 40, use some really nice casks. And we're seeing a lot of change now. Dr. Don's got a lot of wine casks and Oloroso casks going on, and port cask and that 22-year-old. So lots of neat stuff coming. But yeah. And James, I'd love to think that people like Crown are doing that, but I kind of think maybe they're pushing it a little past that. But I mean, yes, there has to be a point at which everything is affected, and you can't get away with, ultimately using that many casks unless they are, and that is the profile, right? I don't know.
Right. It doesn't hit the real Crown profile until used like 7 or 8 times.
Yeah, it's just so uninteresting. That's the thing. It's not bad. It's just super duper boring, like the most boring thing you can drink. Yeah, absolutely, and that's my point. And it is making some changes with some smaller distillers are doing that, and even some of the larger distillers are making changes and using some experiences in first or second fill sherry and wine and stuff, like I said. But certainly different over in Scotland, big time. And the argument of having massive amounts of casks and stock and all of that stuff is probably even stronger on the Scotland side than it would be in Canada. And I know there's a ton of whiskey, and we've always been making a ton of whiskey at times when Scotland was in a big drop in whiskey production and distilleries closing, weekly, daily. Canada's still pumping out all the whiskey. So it's easy to say, oh, we've got tons of casks. All these distillers have all these casks, and there's always this stuff. I don't know. It's just I think it really comes down to the whole mass production. We're talking such massive amounts. And like you mentioned, the smaller distillers, it's just easier for them to pick up a couple casks and rotate around. And I don't know how financially, I don't know how much it costs to buy big batches of casks or whatever, but
a lot.
Not
Yeah.
cheap.
Yeah.
Have you priced any kind of wood recently?
Yeah.
No.
Nothing that I could relate to like a used whiskey cask per se.
Well, now that's wood that's been worked and has, it's more. It's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, Shelter Point is a great example. I think
Sure.
Brad's got some Shelter Point.
I have like 3 or 4. Shelter bottles. They're great.
Pretty tasty stuff.
2 brewers, same way. You're not going to see them using like 4th or 5th fill stuff, right?
Yep.
And
And,
so they're getting there. There's a bunch that are starting to try to change those habits, I think.
Oh, for sure. And again, I think it's just I'm focusing on the larger guys, and it's just that I while there certainly is tradition and knowledge passed down and all of that jazz, I just see like any Scottish distillery is going to have it. This is just my opinion. I'm not saying for sure. Okay, I certainly can't say this for sure. I don't know anyone that works at Crown Royal. I've never been there. I don't know exactly how it goes. I get the feeling that there's not that much pride and tradition and everything being passed down and carried on and all that love being put into selecting casks and all of this stuff. And I'm not saying there aren't people that are working there that are doing these things. I'm not. It's the impression I have where a Scottish distillery that's probably super steeped in tradition and super duper proud. And lots of attention paid to every cask selection and so on and so forth. And yeah, there's a couple things we could pick up on, I think, in the Canadian world, but we're doing good. We're making good steps. That's for sure.
Void Cat is done with the
Take it
music,
out.
I guess, with the banjo and on to snap.
Somebody needs to stop that cat. It's gonna get diabetes going like that, man.
It's been going for a while. It's getting bigger.
Lives in the void. I'm sure it'll be. It's literally growing.
It looks like it's
Before-
getting angrier too, or is that just me? Like, seems kind of angry now.
It's eating its feelings. Leave it alone.
Just hate eating.
Only a few, Dave. They're definitely a lot very kind of easy and friendly, but definitely some complex ones out there. That cognac finish, Writer's Tears, is pretty complex for an Irish. But no, you're right. As a whole, pretty friendly, pretty
Void Cat may have died.
level friendly. But yeah, no, and there you go. Exactly. While I can give a couple examples, it's definitely not a word I would use to describe Irish. But there are exceptions, just like Canadian.
Yeah.
And yeah, Dream Cask is definitely one of them.
Oh, that's it, yeah. But
That's
also
an
like,
exception in many ways.
yeah.
Not just the category of Irish.
Yeah. Yeah, you can leave it to us. Yeah, Connemara. Even Connemara though, it's still for me just kind of a two note. Like it's a peated Irish. You get
Yeah, the cask strength one is definitely a little bit more interesting.
Oh, the cask strength.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Never had the cask strength.
It's quite good.
It's pretty good.
Well, the standard is absolutely fantastic, and like I said, it's a two-note pony. But if you like those notes,
I mean, it's not the normal one is not super interesting, but it's good. I very much enjoy it, but I wouldn't call it complex.
Some of those different cask and wine finishes on those are actually really tasty. James, you're right; they are kind of interesting. So coming up in the world, if you will, not coming up in the world, but I think the huge boom in different unique cask uses, we're really starting to see it now across the board. Japanese, Irish, Scotch, bourbon, Canadian, they're all using different like port casks or wine casks. And a lot of people have been doing for a very long time. Obviously, Scotch has been using, sherry and wine for super long, but it's just seeing a lot more variety in different casks and spirits that I've never heard before. Some of them, the first time I'm hearing of a spirit or a wine type in some cases is because a whiskey is finished or aged in it, which is really neat. Yeah, I love sherry. If we're talking, sherry casks. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, sherry casks are fantastic. Big fan, both peated and non. It does a wonderful thing. But I'm also a huge fan of wine casks. Stuff like Octomore, Bruichladdich for sure. They just have so many. I think like those Micro Provenance series from Bruichladdich. I've seen like 10 different wine casks in that alone. But they've just got so much, and it works so great with peat, and it works so great without peat. But wine and peat, and sherry and peat is just
that's the good stuff.
A wonderful thing. This sucker right here is one of my favorite of all time. The MCO1, the Port Charlotte Marsala cask, out of this world.
That is a really good one.
Yeah, super duper good. That is the first whiskey in my entire life that I owned 2 bottles of at the same time. Yeah. That's not a thing that happens here.
It's a very good question. And I would say changing the export parameters of Canadian whiskey would be a very good start.
Yeah.
And having distilleries be able to just ship.
It's
out of country.
Richard, it is on the way. Big time on the way, Richard. Lots of distillers, big and small, are producing phenomenal spirits right across the board. Really tasty whiskeys from distillers as big as Corby, with a lot of the Wiser's releases recently. lots of interesting stuff. Lots of small distillers. Shelter Point was mentioned. Two Brewers was mentioned. Really great distilleries. And yeah, so I think the best thing we can do is keep supporting it, keep evangelizing it. Hopefully, the good stuff just gets made more. A lot of our fantastic stuff, as you likely may know, doesn't get that much production and doesn't leave the province sometimes, never mind the country.
Yeah.
So just keep doing that and buying it and enjoying it and growing it. Then these distillers will hopefully produce more of those really fantastic whiskeys, realizing that there really is a market for that stuff. Yeah, that's what we got to do. Just like anything really, like any whiskey market or category. I think us as Canadians, we feel that we really need to let people know and have them know that we do have good stuff, because let's face it, Canadian is not, it's usually at the bottom of everyone's major region, and understandably so.
Yep.
It's probably at the bottom of mine.
It would be like if the only American whiskey we could get here was like Jim Beam or something, then we would just see all American whiskey as, bottom shelf-ish bourbon, and that would be what we get.
Yeah.
Like, so it's a perfectly understandable thing that people would consider Canadian whiskey not very interesting most of the time because they haven't seen any of the interesting examples.
Literally, right? And it's a shame. And this is probably the best example that James just mentioned there, because it is widely known, and it's always a joke, and people say, "Oh, I don't drink Canadian whiskey." Oh, have you ever had Whistle Pig? Yeah, it's amazing. Well, guess what? And yeah, the spirit is from Alberta Distiller, which does make a fantastic spirit. I do have to say, because the
so
strength,
here's the question. Here's the question, right? Because someone raised it up in the thing, right? How do you go about making Canadian whiskey its own category? Now, to me personally, I don't think it needs to be its own category, right? Recognized as a whiskey producing region beyond what it is already, which the perception is generally from someone who's very much outside of the North American market, is it's an honest, cheap, good product. I mean, the things that we get here, yeah, we get a bit of Crown Royal, which is pitched above Canadian Club in terms of price point and stuff like that. At least down here, Canadian Club, it's non-offensive. It's a whiskey. It's easy to drink. Goes well with ginger beer, right? Done. And that's the perception that we have of Canadian whiskey, as in it's a good product, does what it says on the bottle, prices, not bad. It doesn't have the it's a little bit cleaner than, say, a Johnny Walker or a Scotch or anything like that in palate taste. That's it. There's not really a thing. So get it recognized as a region beyond that, because lots of people can make a nice, clean tasting whiskey. That would be your bigger thing. Like, what is Canada able to do that a lot of places, south of the border can't? Hold on to their liquor in a barrel for a shit ton longer than a lot of other people. So maybe they need to look at, let's do some really nice aged stuff. As James said, like a 15-year Madeira, man, that got my mouth salivating.
We do have a lot of aged whiskey, believe it or not. I have a 35-year-old right up there, which is pretty old. Canadian Club has a 40-year-old, 41, 42, and 43.
Those are weird though, because they add a decent chunk of was it cognac or whatever in one of those?
Yeah.
The 40 or the 41 was cognac.
There's weirdness there, but there's definitely potential for it.
I'm going to say they kind of literally did what old school Macallan was, which was a little bit of, sherry syrup or whatever goes in there just to boost the flavor.
Yeah.
I think that age is not so much an issue we have. There is a lot, as Scotty says there, we have a lot. There's a lot of stuff 20s, even up to 30s, but it's not. If it's spent if it spent that 20 years in a fifth use cask.
Well, then you got stuff like the Orphan Barrel Entrapment, which is 25-year-old Crown, and it's great.
Yeah, it's like when everybody always asks me what the best Crown I had, I'm always like, oh, Orphan Barrel Entrapment. They're like,
yeah,
what?
like, it's not labeled as Crown, but it's Crown.
Yeah.
And you see, look, that could literally be the unique selling point, to bring it into a weird marketing thing, right? That could literally be the thing, is they could be under Canadian rules, as I understand it, you could produce old school style whiskeys in the sense that 99% of it is a 25 or a 40-year-old whiskey, and then you get a touch of flavoring. You can under Canadian law reproduce a Macallan 25 far better than Macallan can.
yeah, it's pretty. The whole 1/11, 10 parts whatever, and 10 parts whiskey, and we can have 1 part another spirit. And again, that whole argument comes of it. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Well, a lot of purists, sometimes myself, will see it in a bad way as, well, what the heck is that regulations? There's no people can put this and that and the rest of it. But, and I think this was actually brought up by James on the when we had him on the stream, was that actually opens up the door for a whole bunch of good shit.
Absolutely.
Because what is it? Was it the 60s or 50s was that shift where it started to change from that was almost the accepted norm in premium whiskeys to let's try and keep it pure and unadulterated and stuff like that. So you could literally do like a massively historical range that isn't an option in other markets. And you know what? Sure as shit, people are going to like it, especially when you've had all of those shows going on and stuff like that, where you're flashing past, back into the 50s and 60s or even the 20s and stuff like that. It's a more accurate representation of potentially what they were doing back then than we can produce and label as a whiskey nowadays.
Yeah,
most other markets.
And at the end of the day, so as long as that transparency is there, as long as I know, like I kind of would like to know, and they didn't hide it that there's, for example, cognac in there. They didn't hide it, and James is mentioning it right there. It's not hidden, but it's also not disclosed openly. No, you have to search for that information. Now, again, so at the end of the day, do I really care what makes up of something if I'm drinking it and it tastes good to me? No, I actually don't.
Part of the education, right?
Yeah, like if it was barley or corn or wheat or whatever the hell it's been made from, sugarcane or fucking potatoes or rice, if it's good, I really don't give a shit. It's just that I know that I do prefer corn and barley and rye and wheat, and you know what I mean. So like rum's not bad, but it's too sweet generally for me across the board. So I'm not a rum guy. I don't care that it's made from, molasses or sugarcane or whatever the hell they're making it from.
Right. Rum is best used to finish peated whiskey anyway. So
I was going to say, Dan's right. One of the most interesting rums I've ever had was made from beets, as a complete side note. So beet sugar, anyway, that was interesting.
So was it a red rum?
And on that note, we don't want to step on Ed's stream, so I guess they're doing like a cocktail showdown, him and Erica.
Yeah, my money's on Erica. My money's always on Erica.
It's fair.
Wait.
It's a good bet.
Are fighting each other?
My bet is Ed will lose his shirt at some point. So.
Yeah, that's a
win. As long as someone gets stabbed with an umbrella, I'm in.
It's always possible.
It's good. Do it. Jim Morrison, close the door and go do it. Oh wait, no, that's not.
All right, see you next week, everybody.
Thanks for coming out, guys. Appreciate it.